It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
There is a groundswell of new support calling for America to pull out of the United Nations completely and to defund this worthless and unproductive quasi-world government entity that has become, sadly, a proponent for Islamic Supremacy. The Obama administration stabbed Israel in the back over the holidays by abstaining from a crucial vote at the UN. And rather than following the will of the American people by following through and defunding the UN, the GOP leadership in the House and Senate is now pushing a Democrat-sponsored resolution to do nothing more than criticize the UN. We need your help to convince Congress to support and pass H.R. 249, which is a bill that will completely defund the United Nations and all UN agencies. I got the details for you on this today, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel for your daily dose of America First information. But first, let's talk about the stunt that Obama pulled over Christmas. The United Nations voted on UN Resolution 2334 in late December. The Obama administration abstained from voting on this resolution instead of using America's veto power on the UN Security Council. It could have vetoed that resolution and it would have no effect. This was, in fact, the first time in history that an American administration chose not to support Israel's right to sovereignty at the United Nations. No other president, including Carter and Slick Willie, has ever openly sided with the Palestinians, who are nothing more than a terrorist group. This resolution demands that Israel must immediately and completely cease all settlement activities in the occupied territory that Israel legitimately captured when the Muslim world attacked Israel during the Arab-Israeli War of 1967. The name of that war was the Six-Day War, if you don't remember that. In any case, the Arabs attacked, Israel beat them back, and in the process captured land. That land the Arabs want back. Well, they lost it. They did lose it. Very much like the Mexicans lost California and Texas when we captured it from them. Just like the United States bought the Louisiana Purchase in Alaska. It'd be like the French wanting back Louisiana and Russians wanting back Alaska, and the Mexicans demanding that they get back Texas and California. Well, they succeeded so far in California, but the game's not completely over. In any case, the UN resolution censures Israel and declares it to be a violation of international law for building settlements in territory which it has owned for 50 years. How you like that? This move doesn't surprise me at all because, as I have stated for years, Barack Obama is a Muslim himself, and he does not believe in Israel's right to exist as an independent sovereign nation. In fact, he believes it doesn't have a right to exist at all, regardless of not whether it's sovereign. The United Nations is an Islamic Supremacy organization now that is controlled and dominated by Muslim dictators. And Barack Obama is going to be one of them too if we don't watch out. He's going to go there and run the darn organization. Well, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation is a 57-member group of Muslim countries that controls the largest voting bloc in the UN. They pretty much get whatever they want unless America exercises its voting power to veto these things. So, for many years now, America's veto power on the UN Council has been the only thing that has stood between Israel and annihilation at the hands of 1 billion Muslims who hate and detest this tiny little nation. In response to Obama's unprecedented betrayal of America's allies, here was a response from Charles Krauthammer and Mike Huckabee on Fox News. Listen up.
Good real estate in downtown New York City, and Trump ought to find a way to put his name on it and turn it into condos.
I think we ought to get jackhammers, and we ought to jackhammer the whole thing off, float it into the East River, ask anybody who would like to host it to come pick it up, haul it off, and it'll be a lot easier to park in Manhattan after we get rid of it.
Amen to that. Turn the UN headquarters in New York City into condos, or level it and put in a new parking lot, or a park, or a Disneyland. Let's put it to some good use, because it certainly is no good use now. Defunding the United Nations has been a popular idea with conservatives for decades. America sends so much money to the UN and its various agencies that no one can even give us an exact figure of how much money we're sending. I estimated that American taxpayers now pony up more than $8 billion per year at the UN, and I think that's on the very, very low end. I think it's much more, but that's an estimate that you could run with. We give more money to the United Nations than 175 other nations combined. Let me repeat that. We give more money to the United Nations than 175 other member nations combined. We only have a small part of the world's population, and we're given more money than the other members are given in total. And for what? So the UN can send peacekeepers into third world countries and exploit starving women and orphans, which they have been doing. And so the UN can continue pushing its own brand of Islamic globalism on the United States and Israel, which they've been doing. It's time to defund the UN. But unfortunately, the GOP leadership is now backing a resolution that condemns UN Resolution 2334, and that's all. So their resolution is to send a strongly worded letter to the UN, along with the next big fat check from the American taxpayers. This is insane, and it's time to put America first by defunding the UN. House Resolution 249 prohibits any of your tax dollars being given to the UN or any of its agencies as voluntary contributions from any federal agency or the State Department. That might not completely defund the UN, but it will certainly gut most of its core programs which rely on voluntary contributions from America. The full text of the bill is not yet available because the new Congress is still getting up and running. But we're fairly certain that when the bill is released, it will be a duplicate of H.R. 2757, which we also supported in the previous Congress. But if that changes, we will update you, and I promise. We need to convince the rank and file members of Congress to support and pass this bill right now. If the UN wants to push the United States or our allies around, let them fend for themselves. I say they should get no more money from America. If you agree with me, I hope you'll go to our action page today and speak out. Bob Mallory will have instructions for you on the next screen describing how to get to our action page. Go there today, and you can send personalized letters to Congress in support of H.R. 249. Tell Congress to finally defund the United Nations. This is Charles Benninghoff signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many, many blessings.
Tell Congress to defund the United Nations immediately. If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find the link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.